Yeah, I think
let's go.
part of what I did with the smoke is also sort of a automatic reaction when
Go ahead.
like after a kill I smoke up to go unspotted, and then I have smoke anyway, so I try to farm something.
I see. That's an okay mentality to have, but like at times it can often be a liability because then you're out of smokes by the end of the battle. In a British destroyer, that's fine because you have 6 smokes to use and they recharge very quickly.
I
Not
probably overdid that.
So that's okay. Learning experiences, man. Learning experiences. You get it eventually.
I mean, it's just learning to develop the right instincts. I mean, honestly, that's a big part of gameplay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're basically going through all of the same thing we go through. Like, it'll take time. You'll sometimes deploy too many smokes. Sometimes you just don't
Yeah,
deploy.
it's
won't use
also
them
me
enough.
getting a little rusty on destroyers.
I remember my first probably year and a half playing the game. Destroyers, getting consistent results out of them was so difficult because the way you manage the consumables is different. And I had to learn that each class, the way you use everything is completely different. You've got to get that down.
All right, well, let's get this game going.
All right. So just a bit
Anyway,
of
I'll
context.
make room in voice chat for the Des Moines. Thanks for having me.
Hey, no problem,
Of
Cockle.
course.
Thanks for sending that one in. That was a great replay, man.
Yep. And we hope that you take to heart.
No, Zap, the replay is sped up. It seems.
I know. I'm just
Alright.
speeding up a little bit.
Well, we'll see what happens next time.
Right? No worries, dude.
He's accelerating the replay to where you get depth struck.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'll give a couple things. First of all, I don't have leg mod on my Des Moines.
What?
Well,
All right,
that's,
I'm killing the replay right now.
I am offended for just all the reasons.
the leg. Come on, the leg mod is no. I need to get it, but I'm running reloaded this. I don't run range because I don't know why you would. So my thinking with this initial position is, whatever pushes up here, I have a Harugumo to spot, and I also have a U2501 that's being a bit of a dirt, but that's not the point. I have a Harugumo that I can support from this position, and with this island, I can sort of park here, and I'm not going to get crossfired by anything, you know, that goes, you know, like that's in the middle of the map. I can stick there. The worst that I have to deal with is that Montana. And the Montana, I can bounce because I have 30mm plating on my upper belt and my deck, so I can just angle against them and not get instantly death struck.
So, all right, I'm gonna pause it for a second here because I'm seeing some things that I want to comment on.
Sure.
All right, first of all, so you've got reload. Now, if you're running reload, personally, what I do is, if I'm running reload Des Moines, I want to be up close and personal with my destroyer to blap whatever the hell the destroyer runs into. So, personally, if I'm running reload Des Moines, I'm with the Harugumo, and I'm communicating with that Harugumo, hey, dude, you smoke for me, I will kill whatever we come across, but I need you to smoke for me. And you have to make that kind of gentleman's agreement, you know what I'm saying?
I'm also looking at the radar range.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
You want to be able to cover the entire cap plus back from it, and you haven't managed to accomplish that where you've parked.
Yeah,
the other thing is,
I did notice that. Yeah.
In this position, so look, if you had Summers, Shimakaze, Gearing, Z52, pretty much any other destroyer opponent, what you're doing makes perfect sense. But you're up against a Kleber. So he's not going to go into C-Cap, right?
Yeah.
So
Well, there's always the risk of that, and I don't want to get. I mean, yeah, I can kill him, but like if I push forward. So the reason why I didn't push forward here actually was because take a look at where the rest of their battleships are. They're all in the middle of the map.
Yes.
So if I push up early and I get spotted, that's free lunch for me. Like,
so
Perfers can shoot me, Kansas can shoot me, both Kansases can shoot me, the Flandre can shoot me, the Donskoy can shoot me.
So
and
again,
there's a Cherbourg behind the island too.
That goes back.
And you picked the wrong place to put your ship.
That goes back to the original comment of, hey, if you want to do the anti-destroyer thing, that's great in the Des Moines, but you have to communicate with your teammate. You have to say, hey, this is what I'm looking to do. This is my goal. Let's work together to achieve our goal, whatever. You didn't do that. And so the reason I'm bringing that up, Shockwave, is simply because where you are right now in a Des Moines is better suited for a range module Des Moines, because then you could be farming at long range the Montana, possibly the Flandre to your left, Cherbourg if he's spotted, whatever. And then if you need to go dark or get back behind the island, you can. What you're doing right now is playing where a typical Moskva would play, and a Moskva would have the range where it's not that big of a deal. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yaka Diego.
Well, I know.
That's true.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah,
what I do is I take range in regular PvP, and then I take legendary mod Des Moines in competitive.
Yeah, no, I'm working towards getting that leg mod.
So I have a question.
I'm just go ahead. Sorry.
How many destroyers do they have?
They have one.
One.
Yes.
And they have but they also have 2 submarines.
And
which is my other concern. Well, again, if I get spotted in this position, there's like 10 people that can shoot me. I don't want to die instantly.
That's my other problem with the position that you took. You were worried about people shooting at you, but your problem with your position is if they force you backwards, you're automatically going to be getting shots from the ships you didn't want to get them from anyway. You put yourself in a situation where forward and back, neither one of them works.
Yeah.
I'll say this much, but I'll say this. You're so worried about overmatch. You're like, oh, the Montana can't overmatch me because I'll angle. Plunging fire doesn't care. It's coming down through your deck. The Montana was far enough away.
Realistically, you're overthinking it. It's really... You're thinking too much, and you're second guessing every single decision that you're making.
Well, that's my nature. I'm just like that. I get what you're saying though. So
this is the thinking man's action game after all.
Well, I'm an action man who doesn't think.
So, okay.
That's just you put.
Well, there's thinking, and then there's overthinking.
You can think of it this way. A lot of players... Okay, so not everyone is a super Unicom. And actually, one of the more common mistakes for Unicom players is they over-respect their enemies. Like, they assume the enemy will always do the right thing. But in reality, they're a potato.
Right.
Yeah. Like, I've actually done that a couple times today. There was a couple moments where I should have been more aggressive, but I didn't press my advantage. And so I actually took far longer than I should have, and that almost cost me the game.
So, can we
Punching
appreciate...
fire is not as rare as you think, Duckman.
Can we appreciate the moment here? Your Haragumo went down, and again, with only one destroyer, that is the key, is supporting your destroyer, in my opinion. So with the Haragumo going down, now granted, your side is low, there's just in Nebraska, but still, I think if you had gone up originally with that Haragumo, things might have been very, very, very different.
Well, that's with the benefit of hindsight, sure. But in that moment, I was thinking, there's 5 ships. If I get caught out, I'm gone. So as for why I'm reversing over the islands, I'm affording myself to do that because now all their battleships have gone to the 3 line. None of them have shots on me. The only one that has shots is the Montana, and maybe the Cherbourg and the Flandre over the islands.
Flandre might, Flandre might be able to get them.
Yeah, I'm watching for the Flandre, always.
Just because 5 people can look at you doesn't mean all of them will shoot.
Right.
Just remember that. Like, frequently, also, don't forget, half the battleships that have shots on you are actually, like, over 15, 17 kilometers. In fact, I frequently...
I know, I'll have time to react.
So, one of the what I've in my personal experience playing Warships as a Unicum player, what I find a lot of Unicums will do is they've gotten to the Unicum position because they're good at not dying, which you would normally think is a great thing, right? But the problem is that if they're not dying, are they not dying because they're not being shot at, or because they're dodging the shots that are being sent their way? If it's because they're not being shot at, what they're essentially doing is they're taking their hit point pool off of the enemies in terms of who they can shoot at. You're actually making it harder to win because enemies are shooting your teammates who, for lack of a better way of saying it, aren't as good at dodging shells. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
And this might be a case of that right here.
Yeah, no, well, the thing is with my Des Moines and generally American cruisers, for me at least, the way I tend to play them very conservatively because I've had a lot of experiences in the past where I've tried to play those positions aggressively, and because, well, when I wasn't very good at it, playing, you know, when I first ground through the line, this is my second time going through the line, well, I just didn't really, I kind of lost confidence, if you know what I'm saying. So I tend to play more conservatively, and while it's worked out for me, I also understand what you're saying, that, you know, I'm not putting myself in a position where I can be as effective as possible, you know, under any, you know, most given circumstances.
That's definitely understandable.
But that goes back to learning how to break your habits.
So
yeah.
The reason I'm bringing that up is because this matchmaking, I mean, there's lots of battleships that can definitely hurt you. Like there's no disagreement there. But you're also in a position where you can make a very decisive opening play with the Des Moines, and that didn't happen. Okay, fair enough. So if that's not going to happen, I guess I feel like where you're sitting isn't doing enough. I mean, you depth charge the sub that overextended. Congrats. But, like, you've got a Montana on your flank at this point. You've got a Flandre to the north of you. You are down 2 ships. So...
Go ahead and hit pause real quick.
Pausing it.
Yeah. Look at the mini-map right now.
Yes. What am I looking at?
His team is literally being surrounded. And that generally is not going to end very well for you or your team.
Nope.
I know. That's
I mean,
why
it's
I
almost
start
superficial a barrel at this point.
Yeah, that's why I'm rotating to the other side of the map, because I know
Your
that's where my
entire team has
gonna
been
be my
pushed
guns.
all the way back down to the spawn. You know, 1 cap is gone, 2 are going to be gone.
Yeah. I don't even know how I managed to win this.
Wait, so you're going to
No
rotate to the other
spoilers.
side of the map instead of trying to help your team deal with the 2 ships at sea and get the cap?
Well, that's
Or are
because
you
the
gonna-
Flandre... Well, look,
Or are you
the
going to try
Montana's
to go
running
in
away.
and see?
Montana's not running
I'm not gonna
away.
go... Well,
He's
no,
on your
Montana's
flank.
being stalled out. He's not even... Well, I mean, he's looking the other direction, which is why I'm taking the shots here, because he already shot. So, I know by the time
Okay.
he's got his reload back, I'm going to be angled away. So I know
Smart.
I can afford to take these shots. And
Montana's
he's got the
moving
consolation...
away.
Montana
It's
is
great
moving
that
away
your
at this
team is
point.
going to win and everything, if that's the reality. But, oof, it could have been so much easier.
Yeah, I know. I kind of made it a bit hard on myself by... Like, I'm just pause this here, like, just really quickly. I'm just going to make a quick confession, right? Very quick confession. I have ADD, right? So I get easily confused, I get easily distracted, and
Sure.
I'm a little bit fudgy. So if I make a move, it's because it's how I'm perceiving it, and not necessarily because I think, you know, it's because it's how I think I'm going to win the game, and not necessarily because it may be the right thing. In this circumstance, it happened to work out. So, you know, but I still understand what you're saying. So, you know, just going back to the reason why I'm rotating, I'm seeing, okay, there's like 6 ships, 7 ships, you want to count the Hornet. that are threatening to push my team and kill them. So I'm like, they're all going wide, you know, one way or the other. So if I put myself smack in the middle, the guys in the south, they have to deal with the curve first, Akaga, and Constellation, right? So they're not going to worry about me.
Okay.
So that means I can focus on the Kansas and the Kerfers in the north and deal with that, which is why I opted to rotate toward the middle rather than rotating outwards at this point.
Okay.
So where the Donskoy, the U-2501, the Colbert are going to go, I rotated in on the inside of the island. And I also know that the Flandre has a Kaga to deal with, and the Kaga's probably going to end up killing the Flandre no matter what he does. And he's also got the Nebraska to worry about, which is why I'm affording myself to take this, you know, bit of a, you know, some people would say it's a very questionable move here. I'm going to take this move here because I know I can make something happen out of it. At least that's my perception of it.
What I'm trying to get at is, yeah, the Montana turned out. At the same time, it's really easy for him to turn right back into sea.
Absolutely,
Right.
yeah. I'm not disagreeing with that.
The best way to get your teammates to help you shoot what you actually want is kill what the hell they're shooting at.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, it's a sad thing to have to say. Like, you can hit F3 all day long and beg them, but until the thing they're shooting at is dead, most people are going to ignore you. Right?
Yeah, they're gonna shoot at the
'Cause-
closest thing or the thing they're most afraid of.
The other thing is the sub is getting beat. C's still wide open. Montana can easily come back in. Only Lord knows right now, like, if the Montana's smart enough to go into it, right? Like you say, the Kaga's going after the Flandre. So if you think about it like this, you want that Montana gone too. You help kill the Flandre, right? In the process of shooting your HE at the Flandre, you're stripping AA, you're setting the fires, you're getting rid of them, which means you can go, Kaga, can you please help me with the Montana? Right?
Yeah. Well,
And like you say, when you angle properly, the Montana's going to be close enough to where you're not going to worry about that plunging fire, and he's just going to bounce off the side of you, right? Because it should be a close enough engagement at that point. And hopefully, I use this very loosely, but hopefully, your teammates will help you.
Hopefully, yeah, you know, hoping teammates will help. Yeah, I get what you're saying. I do get what you're saying, though. Yeah.
Well, the easiest way to get your teammates to help you is to help them.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. But that's
And
just
not
again,
being a
that's
dick
all.
in chat.
Later, Doc.
Even I've asked people, hey man, can you do this, please? The guy ignores me, whatever, screw it. But like, ironically, I found out just saying please actually gets
Actually
results from most people.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, everybody here, just remember that. Sometimes you just...
give them a plan. Let's get this
Yeah,
shipped, and then let's get this shipped, and then let's get this shipped.
I get you. I get
So-
you.
I mean, the only thing that I'm concerned about here is going broadside to the Flandre. Whether or not he's got a shot on you, I don't know. But
He
I
doesn't.
do
That's why I love the broadside.
I do understand, well, yeah, because there's the top part of the island there, but depending on his movement and your movement, a shot may appear. So, like, to me, the thing about the Des Moines is it's like a machine gun. You put it down in places where the enemy is going to push, and you use it as a way to punish that push. So, what you're trying to do right now, Shockwave, is you're trying to relocate to punish the enemy push. The Donskoy, the Kleber, maybe the Kansas, maybe the sub.
Yeah.
And let's see what happens.
Right.
Hey,
Well, I
you
know
know
that the
the
Flandre is
Bengals.
well behind me.
Yeah, that's good. And you just check that so you know he can't shoot you. That's important because that means you've got the freedom of going broadside to him in order to get into this
And-
position.
Yeah, and he can't do anything. Exactly. Now, I'm not shooting the Donskoy here because I'm waiting for a shot in that Colbert. That's why I'm nosing around the islands. And I put my radar preemptively because I already know he's going to wander into it. Because that's the path he's taking.
The
Now,
thing I'd worry
unfortunately...
about now is you're showing your ass end to a Montana that can easily go right through a nice flat piece of steel.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what I'm also concerned about. That's why I'm also checking my back, and you know, I'm watching the minimap and I'm watching priority target to see whether or not he's got a shot on me. Now, because this Colbert hits the islands, I'm like, is this guy what like I hate aiming on people who get stuck on island because I don't know what they're gonna do. And it just throws me off, which is why I don't actually kill him. Until I don't actually kill him, I think somebody else does. But I put a few good chunks into him and well, you know, like it works, I
Match
guess.
at this point feels very much to me like your team gifted the other team the win, and the other team didn't understand what to do with it. That's what this feels like to me right now.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I went back and looked at the replay. I was like, yeah, this is what I was seeing.
I mean, in the normal WoW's battle world, you've already lost this.
Very nice kill.
Unfortunately, it's not what happened here, so that's good. I mean, I'm glad you won, but Lord.
Yeah, I know. Like, look, I'll admit, I played this game awfully. I don't even know how I managed to get away with half the things that I did. I guess it's because the enemy. Well,
How can you say you played awfully? You're alive. You've got a lot of HP.
Yep.
You've got decent damage. You've got a kill. The thing behind you that's going to wreck you is probably worried about the two battleships. One he's nose into, the other one he's broadside to. The carrier coming after them. So it's not like this was a bad decision. It's not that this was the worst place to go. It was good. It's just like trying to give different thoughts on things, right? Like, you went from being surrounded to the enemy's now just all in front of you. So
yeah, now they're fragmented now.
You know, the sub is probably going after the carrier because, you know,
sub carrier.
They're getting shredded one by one right now.
Yeah.
So like, think of it this way: like a lot of players do not play even close to optimal. If the game ends right now, you would probably be top 3, top 4, no problem.
So you actually have a chance right now to stop and farm the Montana, whether you realize it or not.
Well, I recognize that. I misclicked my heal. That's why the heal's going off. I meant to click my radar button and I fat fingered that. But I'm not going to stay there because the GK and the Kansas are going to come streaking around the island. At,
I see that now.
1,000 miles an hour. Yeah, which is why I'm like, okay, I'm heading away. Now, just if you don't mind pausing here for a second, I want to make another very, very interesting confession. I use Matchmaking Monitor.
Okay, so?
I know this Kerfers isn't even looking at me. I know he's looking at the battle. He's looking at the constellation. He's getting greedy for shots. I'm like, this is a
Why?
game.
You use Matchmaking Monitor. I also be there.
Ha ha ha! Funny. Very funny machine. Anyways, no, like
So-
I'm using Matchmaking Monitor. I'm like, this guy's not even looking at me. So
Why?
I can take an angle. Because look where his guns are. He's like, yeah, I don't want to stat shit him. I know exactly what he's going to be looking at. I know he's looking at that fat juicy constellation. I know he's got his guns locked. So I know I can afford to take this kind of shot here.
Okay,
Like, see,
time out.
Look where his guns are.
How does Matchmaking Monitor tell you this?
Well,
Even a bad player can have a good game.
well, true, but think about what the average player is going to be looking at, and think about what the average player is going to do, right? Like,
Yeah, it sounds like you're under respecting your opponent here rather than over respecting.
well,
It's like
I'm
you over
under-
earlier and now you're under, so.
Yeah, like I said, I'm a little bit wonky. Let's just say that. But the point is, I already saw that I already saw that the Kerfers had his turrets looking the other way, and he was firmly locked onto North Carolina. He wasn't even aware of my position because he didn't even bother turning his turrets towards me. So I'm like, I'll take a free shot. Like, I'll take a free lunch, and I'll just go for it.
think about it like this.
Okay.
I don't care what his stats are. His Montana's in trouble. He's got a broadside North Carolina. The best solution for him is put his secondaries on you, get rid of the North Carolina, because then the Nebraska is screwed with the Montana.
Hey, elusive.
And him. They can always come and deal with you later. He's got plenty of HE. The other thing I would have done, and this is just me being really, really nitpicky.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Wait, no, I understand Des Moines AP is very good on broadside target. That is a near full health Kerfers, who, according to your matchmaking monitor, should have stayed broadside, but what? Did the smart thing and angled in. I would.
Yeah, well, because he was. He
I
did the
would've-
smart thing. Yeah, so.
I would have shot HE initially. A, because he's full health. 2, you're going to start stripping off that AA to where you can beg your carrier to come help you. Right? You get if you get the fire, boom, AP.
You didn't make it uncomfortable for him.
Right? Because what you do is you potentially get that DCP down to where when it's going to possibly matter. Right? Because say his DCP is down now. Now's the perfect time for you to set another fire on the guy. But this will be your first one.
So
right.
I just want to point out a couple of things too. At this point, I don't think the Kerfurst is the biggest threat to your team. I think that's the sub and the Kleber and the Hornet, possibly in that order. I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah,
so,
like I said, it's...
The reason I bring that up is, if the sub is the threat, okay, then turn south and go after the sub and kill the sub, save your constellation. If you think the carrier is a threat, and you're using Matchmaking Monitor, and you know the Kerfurst will probably go after the North Carolina, why the hell don't you just go through the channel in the Hornet's life? Because you can totally do that.
Yeah, but the Kansas is also coming. Is also going to be on my side. And so if I do that, there's a chance. Well, okay. Maybe I'll be honest with you. Now that I look at the situation, I feel like I might have mistimed this a little. Because I forgot that Kansas goes like 3 miles an hour.
Yeah. And so, he's on the one line.
Like, I can hop faster than Kansas can drive.
Oh no, there's 2 Kansases actually. I was talking about the second Kansas that was right behind the curve.
That doesn't make them go faster.
That's the point.
All right,
let's... No. Well, the reason, I mean, again, I was just angling away to be safe, and I was like, okay, the Kerfurst is slow. So I just went around the island because I'm like, okay.
And that's safe. That's safe.
Aww.
Okay.
I took the safe plan because I'm like,
okay.
And look, would you look at that? 3 fires.
And while you're looking at
lucky.
Yeah, because nothing's broken about it at 3 to 5 second reload.
While you're looking at this, the Kansas takes a pot shot at you, which you were concerned about, and hey, you were able to mitigate.
Boing. Yeah. 30mm plating, guys. Use it.
Sorry for the loudness there. Kylie's walking Levi, and he apparently saw me from the street through the window and just charged at the house, dragging her to my window so he could say hi.
Nice.
What?
So, okay. Alright. Now, you've given up on the sub, you've given up on the Kleber, you've given up on the Montana. At this point, you've got to be thinking carrier.
Carrier! Give it to me. Give me the pelt. That's all I want. I just want the pelt. Like
the pelt.
Like,
but let me ask you something, Shockwave. Killing the carrier, is it gonna win you the match?
No.
Yeah, that's not... Well, technically speaking, it does. Because not only does it give my team more time to do something, it also, because, you know, we'll get more points, it also removes air spotting. And that's, you know, very crucial because, okay, I take a gigantic hit that I probably didn't need to from the Hornet, but, you know, that's
it's
just me being
B-25, so you're taking hits.
Yeah. And boing, again, on the Kansas, and now I'm going to rotate my guns, and this is the fun part.
Well, it's fun, but at the same time, the carrier's back up again. Why aren't you killing the carrier?
Because he's behind the island, so...
Oh, is he? Okay.
And I'm like, okay, the Kansas is right in my mouth. I gotta lock into this guy, and I gotta kill him, because otherwise he's gonna kill me.
Hey, do you have a
go around the island
at all?
You know, the Kansas is only a threat to you because you allowed it to
knows what
be
I'm
a threat.
thinking.
Well,
use the return on the carrier. Like, if you can. Because you are right, the carrier is worth a lot of points.
Pardon, what did I just say? Well, I don't have the ability to concentrate and do 2 things at the same time. Okay,
that's fine.
So you would have gone around the island and then just shredded the Kansas. His turrets couldn't have kept up with you.
Yeah.
You would have taken significantly less damage in the killing of the Kansas.
Definitely. That I'll agree with, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you forced the issue and put yourself into a circumstance where you took a crap ton of damage.
Agreed. Yeah. So I'll agree with that for sure.
This is a case of understanding that the engines are not the only slow thing on a Kansas. Everything about a Kansas is slow. Reload, turret reverse, turning, you know, speed, everything is slow.
Well, not the turning. It actually turns really good.
Well, that
Yeah, it
depends.
does-
I mean, if you're constantly
has
jockeying your
improved
speed,
color.
then no, it doesn't turn very good.
Now, thankfully, I actually have a heal ready, so I'm like, last second
You're out
save.
healing the
Last second
damage at the
save.
moment.
Last second save. My engine's broken, but I'm
DCP,
only have
DCP,
one
come on.
flood. That's one.
Why did you
Yeah,
not
I
DCP?
DCP. Well, because the flood was going to tick out, and I'm like, okay. Like, it doesn't really matter, because this Kerfer, again... Well, I'm honestly worried that the Kerfer's looking at me, but I'm like... Then he comes around the corner, I'm like, really? He's not looking at me?
Okay.
Like, what is he doing?
I mean,
I was...
yep.
that was the most confused I think I've ever been.
That was
Like-
my concern, was if you DCP'd as soon as it was on cooldown, at least you'd be able to better control that engagement with the Kerfers, right? Because you'd be moving
Yeah.
faster forward.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I
And
kind of
SAT,
don't-
just to answer your question before you asked this, I paid them $100 million. Trust.
I mean,
I don't need to
You
ask what I already know.
You got gifted a lot of things, and you got extraordinarily lucky in a number of.
I will.
well,
Oh, I will agree with that. Yeah, like I'll absolutely agree with that. I got lucky.
I'll say this much about the DCP. Yeah, you were going slow. The Kerfus has already shown once he's more than willing to let his secondaries deal with you. So saving it in case you get the fire, especially when your heel's down, to repair an engine to where if his guns are looking at him, he's dead anyways.
Yeah.
You know, saving for the potential fire possibly wasn't the worst decision.
I
You're
personally,
coming
I'm
in-
not too thrilled with the taunting there.
I'm gonna say something to that regard as well. Yeah, you can say that, but if you got a MVR in the match against you, or a Parsifal even, if you're hugging an island and they're smart enough, they'll use that island against you and get a triple sit on you, trumpeting you for 30k. So watch who you.
Well, yeah, I understand.
Sometimes all a player needs to get good is to get mad, so don't supply them the mad.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah,
Or watch him kill content.
And I am very much one of those players you don't want to make mad.
Here's the other thing: the game ain't exactly won yet. That
No, it's
sub
not.
accidentally spots you that's on the surface on C.
Just give it a. Well, you'll see.
Oh,
Just-
hey.
just give it a-
As you mentioned that, what do you know?
The submarine. There's a sub. And guess what? I have one radar charge left.
Oh, good radar. Doesn't really pick them up under the water.
It doesn't pick them under the water, but I now understand exactly which direction it's heading. So I save my DCP. Now I DCP that ping, and just give it a second. There we go. See,
And now win secured.
see, there we go. There we
I
go.
mean, I'll be honest with you. This game gives me a feeling like you're going, look how many things that I did that weren't right and how good I did anyway. I mean, that's...
I was very surprised at how well that I performed in this game, despite how many mistakes that I made. And you know, honestly, Zach, if you choose to put this one on YouTube, you can just say pure luck, because that's what this was. This was pure luck right there. I don't even know, because
It's not pure luck.
No, it's not. There are things
You
that you were
did
able to
good
set up
things.
properly.
yeah.
There's a few things that, you know, I think one of the hardest things is you have to consider the setup of your ship and how you've prepped to go into battle, and then you need to play to the strengths of that setup. You know, you didn't do that. You said, well, I'm in a Des Moines that's reload, so let me just go around and dumpster everybody.
Yeah,
And to a certain extent, you were able to make that happen. The enemy team did a great job of letting you make that happen. As Niftiness said, he thought you were dead about 3 times during the match. And frankly,
Yeah.
I did too.